Okay, so I'm now at the Sony stand and I've come to see my good friend Ben. Ben, GM lenses, blimey, you've been busy over the last year, and we've got another one.
Yeah, so you're probably aware that the concept of our GM lenses is that they are, we've got a very cheesy phrase, tomorrow's lenses today. But it really is about the fact that we are, as you know, a big manufacturer of sensors. We know where things are going, and we've got to make sure that the glass is up to the quality of those. So these lenses are not just designed for today's cameras, but also for the sensors of tomorrow. That's the concept behind all our G Master lenses, and it's no exception with the 100mm STF. And the idea behind an STF lens is it has a special polarization element inside, which gives it a really unique look, delivering high resolution, but also really good bokeh. And what that element is inside here is it's almost like a graduated ND filter, being darker at the outside and letting more light in towards the center. What that means is, on your images, you get pin sharp, high resolution on your focus point, but your bokeh is less harsh, more silky. It's not to say that other lenses are bad, but this lens goes the extra reach to make sure you get really silky smooth defocus effects. You have with that, like I say, a design which is an 11-bladed aperture, so if you've got lights in the background and you have your beautiful lit up lights, they are creamy, but they're also very circular. Now that's partly down to the 11-blade aperture, but it's also down to the construction of the lens, because any vignetting can cause those kind of cat's eyes coming into it, particularly towards the edges. And to be honest, the circular aperture on this is like nothing I've ever seen on any other lens, and the defocus effect is really beautiful. Now, one thing to be aware of is an f2.8, it's a 100mm f2.8 lens, so that aperture, that depth of field goes up to 2.8. But because of the apodization element, it does obviously decrease the amount of light, being like a graduated ND filter.
Yeah.
So to confuse people who are not familiar with this kind of thing, we also put on here T-stops.
Okay.
So you'll be familiar with these video-wise,
yeah.
but a lot of photographers are not as familiar with these. And that's just making sure you realise when you're shooting at f2.8, it's going to be T5.6. So you're getting the depth of field of 2.8, but your exposure is 5.6. So it will also read, if you can, on this lens, you can control the aperture, the iris on the dial here, or of course, like some of our other lenses, you can set it so you control it on the camera. The camera will also read out 5.6, so it's crucial to your exposure.
Okay. And it's also macro as well. Do you switch there?
Yes, it does. It has an extra trick to its armory, which is a macro switch. So here, if you actually move this switch on here, it moves the elements inside. It reduces the minimum focus distance down to 57 centimeters and gives you a 0.25 times magnification. So it's not like full-on macro, but it does give you a better capability to be able to get those up-close shots. And of course, macro always leads itself to a beautiful defocus effect built in on that. Unlike the A-mount lens, it does have autofocus, so it has direct drive SSM autofocus built into there as well. And of course, like I say, it has a nice big manual focus ring, which can be very smooth and easy for you to adjust on that. Like some of our other lenses built in a similar style, we have the usual click, no click switch. So if you're a photographer who likes a click, you can get your click. If you're a video guy and you don't want any noise, then of course you can set that to be off as well on there in addition. There is optical stabilization built in, of course, autofocus, manual focus switches. It has seals against dust and moisture. It has our usual nano AR coating to stop ghostings and reflections built in as well. But really, like I say, for the ultimate kind of high resolution but silky smooth bokeh with an adaptable lens which has, like I say, that kind of macro function, it really is a unique lens.
Further down the budget, we have the 85mm 1.8, don't we?
Yeah, so we, as you know, we have our 85mm G Master lens, which is beautiful.
Yeah, again, that's another one I like.
It's light as a feather. You'll be able to lift it with a small finger, I'm sure. However, for some people, if they might say they want something a little bit smaller, we also have the 85mm 1.8. For me, it's a great addition to Alpha 7 series because personally, I like using the compact lenses on there.
Well, this is the whole thing. You know, we talk about these, and while we get a little bit excited from a geeky point of view about the sheer quality of these kind of things and what they're knocking out, this and the 85mm and the other GM lenses, the reality is that you don't always want to have the big lenses. You want to have small portable. So it's really nice to see Sony also sitting up, taking note and going, well, actually, we also need a really good compact range as well.
And now we're seeing the full-frame E-mount system growing to a range where we're really trying to give the customer options. So when we had to launch, we launched with lenses we had to. You know, we had to say we're full frame, and so we've got Zeiss, we've got RG, and this kind of thing going on there.
I remember.
We've then also tried to go to this extra level of You want the 2.8, we'll bring the 2.8. But we also have the other end where someone says, I don't want a GM lens, but I like the idea of an 85mm, a bit more affordable, a 50mm more affordable. Like I say, the 90mm macro is one of my favorite lenses, but in the last year, we've launched, of course, the 50mm macro, just giving that macro capability to people who want something at a bit of a lower budget, but which still delivers a really good quality.
It's brilliant. Well, here's to the next few years. I think it's going to be fun, isn't it?
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I'm sure it is.
Cheers.